Okay, and this is the gluteals. We're going to start off with gluteus maximus, which is this large classic example of a fan muscle here. Basically, its proximal attachment is behind the posterior gluteal line. Its distal attachment is at the iliotibial tract, where it's joined with tensor fasciae latae, and the gluteal tuberosity. Its action is it's an extensor of the thigh and the hip, and it helps maintain stability of the extended knee. However, realistically, its main function is really to just to stabilize, really, and it's a fixator without many. It hasn't got much of a range of movement. And then we're going to go on to gluteus. We'll start with gluteus minimus first, which is the larger one of the two remaining main gluteus muscles. So this is gluteus minimus, and this is actually gluteus medialis. Sorry, gluteus medius, not medialis, medius. Gluteus minimus does look the larger, however, it isn't. Basically, it's just that gluteus medius is behind here, so it'll actually be extending all the way behind this muscle. But gluteus minimus has a proximal attachment which arises from between the anterior and inferior gluteal lines of the ilium, and a distal attachment which it attaches basically to a point just above the medius, and it has the same actions, which I'll go through in a second. But gluteus medius, that's this one here, gluteus medius. That has the same. That has a proximal attachment from the ilium between the anterior and posterior gluteal lines, and a distal attachment at the greater trochanter. Its main action is as a hip abductor and medial rotator of the extended thigh at the hip joint, just like gluteus minimus as well. However, realistically, what its main function is that between them, both these gluteal muscles, it will help raise the contralateral pelvis. When I say contralateral, I mean the opposite side of the pelvis. It'll help raise it, so basically your foot will leave the ground, so you can walk. And we're going to go down to piriformis, which is this muscle here. Okay. This has a proximal attachment at the anterior surface of the sacrum and a distal attachment at the medial side of the greater trochanter. These are all the lateral rotators, these small muscles here, really. And yes, its action is as a lateral rotator, but it also will abduct the flexed thigh as well. And then we're moving down to gemellus superior, which is this muscle running across here. That muscle has a proximal attachment at the spine of the ischium and a distal attachment at the medial surface of the greater trochanter. Its action is as a lateral rotator again, and also abducts the flexed thigh. And then we're moving down to obturator internus, which is here, between the two gemellus muscles. Gemellus, in case you're interested, comes from the word Gemini for twins, which is why there's two of them. They're just here. This is gemellus superior, this is gemellus inferior, and in between them is the muscle I'm just currently talking about, which is obturator internus. It has a proximal attachment at the pubic body to the edge of the greater sciatic notch, and a distal attachment at the medial surface of the greater trochanter. And as the previous muscles, it's a lateral rotator, and it will also abduct the flexed thigh. And the gemellus inferior, which I briefly mentioned before, just running across here, That has a proximal attachment at the tuberosity of the ischium, and it also joins the obturator internus tendon to the greater trochanter of the femur. And then we're going to move on to quadratus femoris, which is this muscle running across here. Quadratus because it's square-shaped. And it has a proximal attachment at the ischial tuberosity and a distal attachment at the tubercle above the middle part of the trochanteric crest. And just below it here, you can just see obturator externus, which has a proximal attachment at the pubic and ischial rami, and a distal attachment at the trochanteric fossa. And its main action, again, is as a lateral rotator, and it will also help abduct the flexed thigh. Well, you're probably sick of me saying that. Okay.